What's going on, everyone? How's it going? Welcome back. We are on episode 6 now, I believe, and this just might be nothing, I don't want to hate on anybody else that was here prior, but this is an honor. This is a privilege. This is an amazing time right now that we are living in because I get to have on the man behind a lot of the things I've done. A man that has inspired my confidence beyond belief, whether he realizes it or not. A man that is the director and editor of his own podcast, The Last Minute. A man that has done so many things for my university, CCSU. And a man that is here today with us, Ricky Hamilton. How the hell is it going, man?
Mario, you know what? After that entire intro, I couldn't be better. I couldn't be better, man.
Yeah, dude, so, we haven't seen each other in quite some time.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's one of those things, it's one of those friendships that we couldn't see each other for 5 years, and no matter what, we could pick up right where we left off.
100%.
That's exactly the definition of one of those things.
It's been a couple years because of everything that's going on, but worth it. But in its own way, it's worth it just for being able to see you today. It's great. I'm really happy to be able to be talking to you again. Yeah, because I'm really excited for you starting this podcast. I'm a big supporter of it.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. Truly makes me feel, especially when people like you or anybody else, I'm at a point where, I'm just starting, but I get messages from people saying, man, look, what you're doing is inspiring, and what you're doing, I love it. You look so happy, and I'm at that point, and it just, I'm like, okay, we're in go mode. Like, I'm going to make episode after episode. I'm going to keep getting better and better as I go. So appreciate, all you guys listening or watching, whatever the case may be. but yeah, dude, so.
No, I'm really happy for that because when I heard, I was telling you about this before. It's like, everybody and their mother has a podcast, right? Everybody's trying to start a podcast, blah, blah, blah. But when I heard that you were starting a podcast, I'm like, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. This is the kind of podcast that I would want to listen to because you are, because you're different, man. Like, you are an incredible person to have a conversation with. You're the type of guy where when I talk to you, all your attention is on me or on the person that you're listening to. Like, you are incredibly active in that sort of, in conversation. You pay attention. You're really invested in what's being discussed. You go into a conversation not thinking, how am I going to respond? It's what are they saying? Yep. So I know, like, when you started this podcast, I'm like, this guy, I'm about it. I'm so about it.
Yeah, so it hasn't necessarily come out yet because I have a lot of people just saying or filling out forms saying I want to be on. Mm-hmm. So all the episodes prior, you'll all see them, and I'm assuming you'll all watch them in order, unless you're like, holy shit, this is Ricky Hamilton. Fuck the other episodes.
Oh, yeah. I gotta watch like me, like any, like the 5 or 7 people that remember me from Central is like, oh, it's that guy. It's the tall dude on the skateboard.
No, but seriously though, so I talked about how I pretty much met you, and I'm gonna say it again because I don't care, because now that you're here, and you haven't heard the episode yet, but regardless,
I'm pretty excited.
So the way I met Ricky was one day, and you guys know Gavin. I just had him on for a previous episode that should be coming out. It hasn't come out yet, but it will be out by the time this episode airs. So me and Gavin asks me, hey, there's a show going on at CCSU. You want to come check it out? This is when I'm on my gap year. It's around, I think, January. I remember it was really cold.
Yeah, it was 2019.
Yeah.
It was March of 2019.
It was during winter break, I know that.
Yep.
And I pretty much, something compelled me to say yes. And if I didn't say yes that day, Abel knows, lots of people know, I say no to a lot of things. I prefer to stay home and comfort in my own home, watching Netflix, watching whatever, chilling, doing my own thing. And he asked me if I wanted to go see this show, and I said, you know what, fuck it, why not? I got nothing better to do on this day. So we go to school, and we parked in the student center garage. It doesn't even matter. We walk across campus. I'm looking at, this campus is really nice. And then we walk to one of the theater buildings, which is Davidson Hall. Mm-hmm. And me and him got our ticket.
Just shitty little building, shitty little tiny little room, not even the main theater room of this building. Yeah. The ticket that he brought up was like a little stub that we got at Target, like kind of thing. Totally low budget, nothing kind of operation.
Yeah. And pretty much We got our tickets, and we go sit down. And I believe it was Hunter who was the one getting out tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
So regardless, we got our tickets, we go sit down. And before it even started, just the atmosphere of the room just seemed like some down-to-earth, genuine people. And I was like, man, I might not necessarily be like a theater guy or anything, but I fuck with this vibe. Like, this is a genuine,
Were you there
positive...
opening night?
Yeah.
The energy in that room was electric.
I was there opening night, and I was like, I'm in a genuine, positive, kind-hearted, open-minded room right now with nothing but positive vibes going. And I could just tell before it even started, I said, everyone's here to watch these people succeed. And I was like, I'm all for this. And I'm not even a student at Central at the time. So pretty much, we sit down, and once the show started, I believe it was when you were speaking, somebody in the back, that was a part of the act, obviously.
Yeah, it was Hunter.
And that's why he said, like, hey, the show stinks or something like that?
Oh, yeah. That was because that was part of the opening monologue.
Yep.
So, to give a little context, to give a little context to what Mario's talking about, the show that I produced a live sketch variety show my junior year of college. It's called Discount Comedy, and it was comprised of, it was like a nice Saturday Night Live, Monty Python kind of blend in terms of just like not only like this show's structure, but just kind of like the feel of it, because we have very specific writers on the cast, and we were able to produce 11 consecutive live sketches, all originally written. And we went up for 3 nights, and so like that's what he's kind of talking about, and what he's talking about is the opening monologue sketch, and for that sketch, I was like the showrunner. Like I produced it and I directed it, so I was naturally the host of the show. I wasn't able to, with that, I directed all the sketches, so I wasn't in them, so I was just playing like the role of host. And this was the sketch that I wrote. This was actually the first sketch that I wrote for the show that made me realize like I really want to do this.
Yeah.
And it was an opening monologue.
And didn't you talk about how, I think in the monologue or something, you talked about how you accidentally deleted or lost it all, and you typed it up the whole day, right? Before
that was the last sketch. That was called Miss Connecticut. It was a pageant sketch.
Yeah.
It was Miss Connecticut's pageant revenge or something like that. But yeah, man, the room that night I still feel it. I still feel it, and that's why I'm very happy that you were there for that.
Yep.
And I want to go in on the sketches process, the show's process, just because there was a lot to it, and there's a lot I learned and a lot I had to fail in to be able to succeed.
Right.
But just to give a little more context, in my position of how I met Mario for it, and why Mario has burned his name and image in my brain and heart for the rest of my life, is that I was very involved at Central. So one of the other things I did, I was an orientation leader.
Yep.
And one day, at the end of the day or something, or like it was at the very beginning.
I talked about.
Yes,
so it's funny,
dude, because
I talked about this in my perspective last episode, and now you're gonna hear this in Ricky's.
Yeah, no, now you get to hear my point of view,
yeah.
and man, like there's points, because I was able to I was very involved in Centrals. Like I was fairly well known. I'd like to say, but there's points where I hope everyone in their life can feel like they were a celebrity at one moment, and one of those moments was when Mario came up to me in the middle of orientation, and no, it wasn't even Mario. No, because it wasn't Mario. I'm sorry. I'm pulling this story out of the hat right now.
Yep.
Your orientation leader, her name was Sarah.
Yep.
And so Sarah Sarah was part of the show.
And I told her about how I was there, and then I was like, I need to go talk to the
No, it's because Sarah was also an actress. She was an orientation leader, but she was also an actress in my show. And she goes up to me, she goes, Ricky, one of the kids in my group said he saw Discount Comedy. And I'm like, no shit. I'm like, no way. And she goes, yeah, and he's super pumped, and he wants to meet you. And I'm like, melting internally.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you're kidding. No way. Like I'm lucky I was able to like do other shows at Central where I had that kind of thing, but nowhere like that level of fandom. And so at the very end of the day, and it was a beautiful day too, and you just like walk up to me and you're like, yo, I saw Discount Comedy, and you went on a Mario, you went on a classic Mario, like not great. What is it? what's that famous like Denzel speech, actually. You went on a famous Mario-esque Denzel speech of just how amazing that night was. And you were one of the main reasons why I wanted to go to Central, is because when I was in that room, I realized this is what college is all about. Yeah. And that is why I love you as a human being, is how passionate you can be when you speak and how well-spoken you are. And when you said that, I'm like, dude, you know, if I was to be hit in a car right now, if this was my last moment on earth, I'd be like, worth it. So worth it. It was awesome. And so, yeah, that's how, and then when that, I'm like, I need this kid around. Not only do I need this kid around, this dude's different. Yeah. I need to make sure that, like, his college years are going to be great. Like, I want to expose him to exactly what he wants to do. And I was able to throw you on with Schlock, which is the improv comedy group that I was also a part of. Yep. And we'll talk about that. Yeah. Because there's plenty to talk about. We're
gonna get into that. But yeah, I want you to. So I've said this before. We said this before. I said this to you before we started. I'll say this to anybody in general. Look, I have the utmost respect for actors, actresses, anyone behind the scenes. Until you take one of those classes, or at least throw yourself in the fire and truly get to know what those people go through, especially those who, you know, do this as a career, as a living, man, utmost respect to them, hats off to them, because seriously, like, it is magic what they do in terms of putting in the work, in terms of getting into another element of themselves to be someone who they really aren't. Or maybe it is someone that kind of lines up with their ideologies and they're able to play that role, no problem. But yeah, dude, talk to me about when you first did Discount Comedy, because, man, let me tell you, when I was watching it, I was laughing my ass off. I was like, dude, this is electrifying. This is so dope. And I remember, and I said this on the last episode, and I said, I think when I first, and obviously, like, it's funny to say, but I kind of came off as a fanboy, obviously, but that was kind of like my first fanboy moment, other than an actual, like, famous athlete or celebrity. Yeah. I was like, holy shit, that's fucking Ricky. I remember.
No, and I say that in the most endearing way I can. Like, you know, that phrase that I used it for. Right. But no, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm very proud of that project. Like, I wish it could have had more exposure than it did. And we tried to film it in the end. But it was very ambitious to try to do it. My homeboy, my British boyfriend, Ryan Semi, not my actual boyfriend, but, you know, he's like my best bud. But, like, you know, Ryan Semi, he's over in the UK right now. Him and everyone's favorite British eye candy, Sam Bird, at the time. I don't know if you got to, like, meet. You didn't get to meet them, unfortunately. Yeah. But they tried to film it, and there was just some technical issues, and it's just a massive undertaking to have someone to like edit the entire. It's like it was around an hour and a half show. Right. So you know, it never really got to like a filmed. And never really able to make it to digital, like to film. But like I could be humble about it, but I was really proud of it. There was a lot of quality in that project, and it's one of the reasons why I'm doing the podcast that I'm doing right now is because it really there was a lot of. It really challenged me to think, like, you know what? I have an idea. I think I know how to be able to do this. And like I said, with a lot of failure, I realized, like, I can. And this is something that I'm not only can do, I'm good at and people like. And it's very motivating. I'm happy that you mentioned this because even to me right now, like, you need to find a way every day to be able to, like, pick yourself up. And this is one of them. Yeah. And like, so Discount Comedy, the way how I came up with the concept is that, so at Central, what's a really great thing they do over there is that they allow their students to put on their own produced works, and they call them student produced works. Right. You know, name says itself. Mm-hmm. And you have to you know, put in a proposal, you direct it, you have to cast it yourself, and then you have to set your rehearsal schedules and all that stuff. And that the semester before, they did this new thing, which was, let's do 3 15-minute works in one night. And so me and Hunter, actually, who was mentioned before, Hunter is someone who was an actor in the show. He was one of, like, the founding members of the Improv Comedy Club. He's a comedic actor. I still work with him to this day. And I'm still good buddies with him to this day. And we were watching it together, and I got to see, it was on the second or third show that I'm like, man, this is kind of awesome. I love seeing these, like, little short plays going back to back. We should do this more often. And then and at the time I was watching Monty Python for like the first time since I was like a little kid. And it just hit me. I was like, I don't think anyone has ever done a sketch comedy show as a live, as a produced work at Central. At Central, really. And so, and that's, and in that moment, I'm in that chair and I write out the entire monologue in my brain. Wow. I wrote out that with the guy in the back saying that, like, this is probably going to be bad because you're amateurs. To the guy in the hallway bit, to the journalist lawyer bit, like everything in my brain. And creativity has been described to me once as a faucet, and the challenge is trying to find a way to turn it on. And when it's on, it's flowing like water. Yeah. And I was feeling that hot stove like under me in that moment, and I'm like, I have to do this. And
that's and look, you went with your gut.
Yeah,
your brain, everything was just clicking in that one moment. And that's kind of how it was when I knew I wanted to start a podcast. You just have to chase that feeling. Mm-hmm. You have to.
And so and the next semester for the big main stage, they did a Shakespearean piece called Troilus and Cressida. And the director at the time, his name is Tom Delventhal, and I'll get to you that in a second. Mm-hmm. He casted a lot of I told a bunch of my friends about this concept, like my comedy writer friends. I'm like, we should do this, and they're like, well, I want to, but I want to get in this main stage. Yeah. And by conveniently enough, just by how it was casted, many of us didn't make it in the cast. Yeah. And so I was like, dude, it's like, I don't know if you're going to be with me or not, but I'm going to have to do this semester, because if I don't, what's going to happen next semester to make me not want to do it? Right. I have to do it now.
Yeah, for sure.
And so now I had to propose it. And this is way after deadline for proposing the show. I went to Tom Delventhal, who's the head of the department, and I pitched him the idea, and he declined it. And he just didn't get it. He didn't really get it. He was like, well, what you can do is just have Schlock go on as like an intermission show to do a thing. And I was like, no, Tom, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do like a live, written sketches and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I'm afraid that people are just trying to do too much right now. I think that a lot of people are doing a lot of different things in the department, and it gets people overwhelmed and stretched and blah, blah, blah. And he declined it. And as he's walking out of the room, I just say, if I do this, I just made a big bid. I was like, if I do this, I will cast absolutely nobody from Troilus and Cressida, because there's 25 people in that cast. And I said, I'll cast nobody from that show if I do this. And he goes, oh, okay. And then, and he's just like, oh, okay, that's fine then. Yeah. And I was like, wow. Granted, this is the same guy that when I asked him to do the show, he goes, oh, aren't you in it? Aren't you in Troilus? And I was like, no, Tom, I wasn't casted. And he goes, huh. See, I can't think of a reason why I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. What a fucking asshole.
All right, dude. Yeah. So, and then little do they know that Tom was booted out of Central the first day of the following semester for sexual assault allegations.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, and so nobody in this theater department knew about the conversation that we had, or any of the. And like during the winter break, I went in through the whole writing process. I went for it was 4 or 5 weeks. It was 4 to 5 weeks. Me and my writing staff, we met once a week to pitch, edit, and run over all the material. During that time, I casted the whole show based off of basically anyone I could get. Anyone I could get at that point. Yep. I don't care if you're funny. I don't care. I don't care if you're funny. I don't care if you haven't acted before. Yep. I don't care if this is not your forte. Yeah. I don't care if this is the thing that you love to do. I need people. I need bodies. And I was able to get this kind of ragtag like ensemble. And I'm not saying ragtag in terms of quality, but just like basically anyone I could find that turned into, at the end, a damn close perfect cast based off of all the sketches that we wrote. And we went in and I cast, and I had to cast all of these sketches individually, which was crazy because I basically had to cast 11 short pieces and had to put in this consideration for every single piece what actors are in each sketch. because in between each sketch, I have to have others be able to recostume or, recostume. I had to compose the entire show, whole, run of the show based on like how many people are in each sketch, what kind of setup was done for each setup, how many people are in it, what's the gender ratio, all this stuff. And somehow I was able to find like the perfect puzzle.
It worked.
And somehow it worked. And one of the ways I was able to do that, kind of fast forward the process, I'm sorry if I'm talking way too long about this, is that we had our main stage that would we'd have our main stage that would do a sketch, and then we would close them with 2 black covered whiteboards. Yeah. And then we would set up a very minimal setup for our next sketch. Mm-hmm. So basically, while a sketch is going on in the front row, behind the whiteboards, we were setting up for the next set during that period. Yeah. So that the moment that sketch was over, we opened up the boards, right, and then we were on to the next sketch. So we were able to find a flow with it too. Yeah. So anyway, we got back in the semester, Tom is out. And so nobody in the theater department knows this is going on. And they're like, did you get approved for that? And I was like, yeah, of course I did. It was just with Tom, and he has the paperwork. So sometimes you got to ask for forgiveness rather than permission sometimes to be able to, really get the ball rolling. And I knew I was going to make it happen. I'm going to make it happen by myself. Mm. I did. No faculty support or anything. Like, right. I didn't have anybody checking the boxes at all. No one was checking in on me. I was just going rogue, doing my own thing with my cast and my crew.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And, man, it was so difficult. Putting on a show during winter is there's so many variables. It could be such a shit show. Yeah. Like, one of the original weekends we were going to open, blizzard. It snowed the weekend before. Jeez. Didn't have a tech run through, so I had to postpone. I thought we were able to get this up in 4 or 5 weeks in rehearsal time. No way. Underestimated greatly. The 5 weeks were up, and I'm like, we're fucking not ready at all. We have to move it forward. We have to move it to another date. But that date is already, but the day I was looking at was already filled by another show. That show drops. I fill it in. Yep. Now I'm in the middle of like the Sweeney Todd, musical show that the main stage musical they were going to do. Mm-hmm. I was casted in that. So now my show is going in the first week of that run, and the director was not happy about that. So I had to work with him. I was supposed to go on spring break in Florida for like a journalism project, and I had to cut it because I had to make sure this show was going to go on. Yeah. And I had to sacrifice that to make sure that it was going to work, and it did.
I really hope that first night that I was there, and however many more times you performed that show, that everyone in the audience really made you feel like, holy shit, this just feels amazing.
I felt like this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be. Well and said. Everyone was there, and there was a lot of, and it got a lot of traction. Yeah. Like we got just as many attend, like we had over 50 to 60 people in that room every night. We had for 4 performances. It was and everyone loved it. Totally random people were going. You know how you said like that was like the show that got you to like want to go to Central? Yeah. I know a girl I was watching like years later on social media, this girl she posted something on her story, and she was just like, it was for like an anniversary appreciation post. She goes, "Shout out to Discount Comedy for being me and my man's first date."
No way.
I was,
that's awesome.
I'm feeling it right now. I was like, that was your first date? Was going to my show? Yeah. And then you stayed together.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh man, like there's that sort of magic to it that I'm like, I chase. Like there's a high that you chase, and that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, and it's even crazier that to this day how everything just comes full circle. How you're the man. I was like, wow, that guy knows what the fuck he's doing. That's a man that has his shit together. Like the way, and whether you realize this or not, you could be selfish when you say this. When you walk into a room, people know Ricky Hamilton's in the fucking room. Like when, also you took me and Gavin under your wing, and you pretty much showed us around like the ins and outs of CCSU. You freaking let us hang out at your place with all the the fellas at the crib, and you know obviously there was the whole brick thing. If you want to talk about that and the whole history of
Blaze of Glory,
yeah. If you want to talk about that seriously, because when we every time we went there, no matter who was there, it was nothing but good vibes. You had no matter who was in the house, there's always the right people in the right moment, and everything was just always on. Whenever I went into your house, you just couldn't be down. There was no shot that it was going to be a negative moment anytime I was at that off-campus house.
Hell yeah, man! I'm very happy that you have that kind of experience.
Yeah,
and like, and I'm very happy about that because like I'm happy that that I am kind of perceived for the most part in this sort of way because it's come from hard work. It comes from like a lot of self-evaluation. It's something that the endless pursuit of growth and healthy growth, because there's a difference. Some people, they kind of they deteriorate from this idea of getting better in like a sort of like mitigating way, self-destructive way. And I'm glad that I'm getting it right in a way. And like and I love you and Mario and you and Gavin, man. Like, I'm happy that you were able to like feel that sort of way, and it was a great time during college because like what he's mentioned is that senior year, me and my buddies that were like mostly theater heads, we got ourselves this really nice house, with this like really nice house that's like just off campus. Still right close enough for a walk, but it's away from it all, so you don't really get like pressured by the cops, or you don't really get like random stragglers. That's like people. Like if people are going to my house, people end up at my house because they were going there. They don't just end up there. Like they had to make the trek. They had to pursue that house. Yep. And the wall he's talking about was called the Blaze of Glory, which was this nice brick wall that was in this little white room that we had that we declare our smoke room. Yep. I wasn't smoking at the time. The biggest running joke of like any of the friend groups I'm at is because I've only lived with stoners. Like my whole life outside of my parents, I've only lived with stoners, but I never smoked. But I was just good with the vibe. I enjoyed the vibe. So we had this wall called the Blaze of Glory. You take a hit, you sign a brick, and we would have, and it started off as just if you smoke in the house, you're entitled to signing a brick on the wall. Yep. And at first it was just like start off with names, and after the first time, people just started getting really artsy with it, like really artistic with the wall, like how they would sign their name. They would like put in, they would do it like graffiti style with their chalk. It would either be like really low effort to super high effort. Someone like we didn't want this to happen, but I'm glad it ended up happening. Someone made like this little dragon type thing on the bottom of the wall. It's not nearly as cool how it sounds, but like it's the authenticity that made it really nice. But it was great, man. People would like take videos on their Snapchat of the wall. They're like, "Oh, that's the brick wall," and I'm like, "That's my wall, bro. Like that is where I live." And then we started becoming like a big party house, which was a whole other chapter in my life.
First time we got invited, me and Gavin went over there, very, very first time. We walked into that room, and you were like, "Hey, fellas, welcome." And you're like, "Welcome to the room." And you were like, "Hey, take a hit, sign a brick."
I'm a showman, man. I'm a natural showman.
Me and Gavin looked at each other like, we got to sign a fucking brick. Yes, dude. So we just got, you don't say fucking no to Ricky. He offers, we're signing a fucking brick. And I'm awful when it comes to arts and crafts, drawing, but you know what?
My brick was ugly. My brick was so ugly.
Was trash. But you know what? I felt at peace when I got to sign a brick. I'm like, damn, like that's a legacy.
It's still
right
up
there.
And it's still up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, who's still living there?
So luckily enough, I know the girls who live there now because I'm basically the reason why they were able to like secure the property is because I know this girl who was like just to drop out college, and she's like, "Hey, are you what's the deal with your house? Or do you have like any like leads to landlords?" And I said, "Yeah, you could like hit up mine." And so she was able. Her and her friends went to secure. They signed the new lease for our house near Central.
Wow.
And we talked to them ahead of time. We're like, "So do you want to like what's going to go on with the brick wall?" And they're like, "Yeah, we want to keep it."
Oh, nice.
And there's two great things about that. Is one, obviously the sentimentality. Like it's super sentimental. Yeah. It has a lot of personality. It's a perfect college thing to do.
Yep.
But also cleaning it would have been a multi-day nightmare coming straight from the depths of hell. That would have been
You probably
awful.
would have had to get like a...
We would have to get an actual like power hose to be able to
like a big
hold it down.
plastic tub to collect all that water. And
I think we would have to totally embrace it. We would just have to hose the brick wall like it's a... I almost said a pretty raunchy joke, but like...
Or you could fucking repaint the thing. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's just we would have to... The easiest, hardest way is that we'd have to bring in a real hose and just hose it down, because it was a process just to erase one brick.
Yeah.
To do a whole thing, you'd have to like power hose it down, just totally embrace all the water getting in that room, and then just getting a vacuum, and then just sucking up all the water after.
That would suck.
Awful. It would have been awful. Yeah. But not only that, but they said you can keep anything you want in this house. You can leave anything you want in this house, and we'll find a use for it.
Wow.
So they couldn't have made the moving out process any easier.
Wow.
Shout out to Taylor, shout out to Essence, shout out to Alicia, shout out to Caitlin, and shout out to last roommate that I can't quite remember because I didn't really know her. I have a funny story with her too, but shout out to you. You know I'm not a dickhead like you thought I was. So
no, but dude,
yeah,
funny ass stories. So me,
but it was a party house.
Yeah.
And then it got cut off by COVID. That's a conversation, but yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, so me and Gavin and some other buddies, we went to a Halloween party. Might have been literally that fall. It might have been. Yeah, and so...
Are you talking about the fall? Because you went to my Halloween party, I know that.
Yeah, so that was probably the fall before you
So you're talking about that same time, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
So we went and... shout out to, I believe his name was Jesse. The DJ you had at that party, I literally worked with him, like... a year prior at Brewster Steakhouse.
Yeah.
He was a busboy and a runner, so he would like run the food out. And me and him were boys. At least, hey man, whether you're listening or not, like I was good with you. I mean, maybe you just were just friendly at work and just didn't give a shit about me outside. I thought he was cool. So when I was at the party and I saw him just DJing, the music was going crazy. And I saw him, I was like, Jesse? And it was like, Mario? It was like one of those things I was like, dude, get out of here. Places in the fucking world, we're both at this house at this party. So that was absolutely amazing. Like I said, good vibes
Halloween
all
party.
the time.
It's crazy. Halloween party is a party that people still talk to me about.
Really?
Like people, I've been told that is the like Project X party that is the closest thing to a Project X party that I've ever been to.
I left my fucking scarf in that house. I was Dennis Rodman and I wore a scarf.
Oh, I remember that. I remember you telling me ahead of time, and I'm like, that's perfect. Yeah. Like that is a great costume for Mario.
It wasn't even my scarf. It was like something from like Savers or something.
But no, like people talk to me like that was the college party I went to.
Yeah.
Like people still talk to me about that.
That's been the only
party.
one I've gone to.
I had to turn away over 60 to 70 people that night from the door.
Yeah, and I remember this because
there was at one point where there was a group of 30 outside that I had said, you have to go back the way you came. You can't go inside.
Yeah, because I remember I asked if I could bring like because Gavin, we already had Central, and then
and I already knew like a couple of your boys, so I was like,
Big Red, Al, shout out to Al. He was already at Central, so you were like, okay, cool. And then we had one more +1, who was a buddy of ours, but he went to UConn, and his party got canceled. So I remember they were like, yeah, we should get some more people to come with us. I was like, whoa, it doesn't work like that. You don't know anybody in the house. You ain't getting in. And I'm going to keep my word with that. And I remember at the door, they're like, who do you know? I was like, oh, believe me, I know Ricky, and Ricky knows me. I'm walking in. And then he was like, oh, yeah, man, I didn't say it like that, but you know what I mean? I was just confident.
You know what's funny, though? I was talking to my doorman. He said I couldn't. This is going to make me sound so pretentious.
Yeah.
He said that I couldn't. He said at one point, he goes, the I knew Ricky plug didn't work anymore. Because so many people would try to use it.
So what, like
people would say, you'd have to, like my doorman would be like, my doorman would go, if they said anybody else in the house, I let them in. If they say I know Ricky, I have to say, how do you know Ricky?
Yeah.
Because I
don't remember what I said for that, if that was asked.
Well, you were also like, you were in there, and I think you would come early enough.
Yeah.
But, that was the thing. Like, our house was called a couple different things. It was like there was like Theater House, Stanley House, and Ricky House. Crazy enough. Like I remember the first night after the first party I threw in September of that year, I went to the homecoming, what's it called?
What, for football?
Yeah. I went to the homecoming tailgate, and 3 people came up to me about my party.
Oh, wow.
Like 3 people immediately came up to my party.
As soon as they saw you?
Yeah. And they were like, people I didn't even recognize, or someone that's like, oh, when are you going to invite me to the next one? You're going to invite me to the next one? These like freshman girls are like, yo, you getting me to the party? And I'm like, oh my God. and I remember I was on a film shoot like 2 months later, and for my buddy, and one of the actors, I was like, they were like, oh, this is my friend Ricky. And she goes, you're Ricky? And I was like, I'm out. I'm out of here, dog. Yeah. Because she was like, yeah, because they're almost telling me I was at this place last night, and they're like, yo, we got to get to Ricky house. And she was like, who the fuck is Ricky? And then I met her the next day. Yeah. But yeah, dude, that house was crazy. That house was bumping. The craziest part of, like I said, I talked to you, like I mentioned in the podcast, that what's great about it is that it's near campus, but it's like off the beaten path enough.
You got to go out of your way to walk there.
You have to go out of your way to walk there.
It's nothing crazy.
And somehow,
right.
like the house had this magic to it that it kept sounding at a weirdly great level. Like I knew, like, because I've been living like off campus my whole life, so I knew like if you're gonna do loud music, you got to put it in the basement. Everything above that has got to go to a certain level. Like all these kind of things. But even then, people would walk by the house and wouldn't know which one is ours. And then you'd walk in and it's just bumping, busting, super loud. And we had two neighbors on each side. One of them, was a group of college kids, so they'd go to the party. Yeah. And the other one, which we thought we were worried about at first, was this like elderly couple. Shout out to Chris and Linda. But we won their favor. Yeah. And there was a certain point where I'm like, do they really like not hear these parties that we throw? Because we don't ask them ahead of time because we don't want to get worried. But at a certain point, I answered. He goes, "Oh yeah, no, we hear it. We just know you guys got it."
Damn, that's real.
Shout out to Chris and Linda.
Yeah.
Chris and Linda were real homies. They were real homies.
Yeah, dude.
They trusted us, so they just let us rock. And there was like Halloween though. Yeah, Halloween was that party where everywhere you walked was upstream. And, like, it was upstream. It was hot.
Like, if COVID was going on at the time, God.
Yeah, compromised. Hot spot. It would have been the hottest spot in New Britain at that moment.
For sure. It was crazy. People were sweating.
Yeah, it was a big party, man. And it was, like, one of those points where I'm like, if this was the line of over, if this was the line and here is, and over it is, just like breaking, getting busted, getting the cops in, we were teetering that line the whole night, man. And you know how that night ended? 3:00 in the morning, a power line went down, and the entire city and the entire street went out. 3:00 in the morning.
I left before that even happened.
Oh yeah, so. At that point, not many people were there. We kicked out everybody. Yeah, but it was a raging storm. It was a really great night, and then it just like was like 30 plus mile hour winds, super heavy rain, and then one of the power lines went out. Yeah. And then we're just like,
did you hit with that line where it's like, you don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here? I love when people say that.
It's funny. And during that moment, we're like, we partied so hard, we put the electricity out. And it felt like it. It really felt like it that night, man. It's crazy. Man, I missed that house. And we were really balling too. And then the anecdote of the 2020s. Coded happened.
I seriously don't know. I mean, I don't know any other. When I think of you, especially when you were at CCSU, I think of you being one of the most well-known people there, and you got to think of like one of like the elites, like just for a random term, an elite. So when I think of you, like you're one of the, and like I didn't know any others. So I was like, if he's one of them, that must mean all the other ones must know about him. So therefore, if he is having a party, I'm sure like. All those are the people and the people that they know, and it's just a whole chain effect. So if you're throwing a party, practically the whole campus knows.
That's kind of
how I interpret it.
There was points where I had to start getting a little like anal about like exposure. Yeah. I couldn't post about a party before two days. I had to wait until 2 days or sooner to announce that I'm throwing, because if it was any time before that, it would get the word would come out too much, and too many people would start coming through. Yeah. I'd have to do that. I'd be like, yo, people can't be invited. People can't, because it is that chain effect, especially on Snapchat. The moment that someone posts on Snapchat, something's there. Oh, now this uninvited person is coming through, sees it, and now they're inviting their crew, and then someone from their crew is going to mention that they know the move, because everybody wants to be valuable on a college campus by knowing what the move is. Yeah. So I would be like I'd get really uptight, to a certain extent, like that's bad, but about keeping it on the low, keeping it on the down low so that we wouldn't just get flooded. Like I said, there were times where I'd have 30 people. I was looking at 30 to 40 people that were looking at me being like, I need to get in this house. And I'm like, y'all got to turn around and go back the way you came.
Hey,
I literally felt like Moses on the top of my stoop looking down at all of these desperate freshmen. And I said, I am sorry. If I could invite you, I can. But until then, none of you are coming in.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that you have to, be careful about that. And you have to be careful about too many. My biggest thing was I can't have someone go in my house that isn't with someone I know. Yeah. Because the more chains in the link of sort of responsibility and accountability there is, the more likely things are going to get stolen or crashed or just broken. Because, obviously, I'll make Abel an example. So if I invited you to a party, right, and you're like, yo, can I bring my man Abel? I'll be like, yeah, sure. Abel, I don't think you're gonna be disrespectful to the house because if you were to get caught and I was dependent on Mario, you're not gonna want Mario to be embarrassed like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you go and now your friend is going, he's not gonna really care because now the sort of the degrees or the chain links to the original accountability is too far. The more that goes down the line, the less stakes there are. So that's how I was thinking about it too.
Yeah.
Party management, man. I'm an event coordinator, bro.
That was the one party.
I had that thing on lock.
I think that was the one time. That was the one party I've ever been to ever. College, even high school. I never went to a high school party. Mm-hmm. That was the first and last because COVID happened, but even then there was obviously time gaps in between. But I haven't experienced anything like that before and after, and yeah, it was a good time. It really was, and that house was a legendary one. You guys, just the core that you guys had.
Yeah, and we're all party people. Yeah, we were all, and the people that we invite. It was a nice mix of very different groups on campus. Right. Because I would go to these parties and it would really just be the same party clique. Yep. And most of them are just uninteresting people who aren't really down to party or do jack shit. Yeah. But it was cool with our mix that we'd have a lot of different groups of people that would be vibing. Sure. My gang ran deep. I was I had a lot of different groups of friends that I was connected to on campus, so I was able to try to throw them in. And then you had obviously guys like Azario and Tim who are down to clown, man. Studs. Absolute studs. Azario, Tim, Mikey, Josh Bouchard, and Elliot. Every single one of them. Yeah. Complete stud.
Oh yeah.
Shout them out to them.
Yeah, so we're gonna transition a little bit. So
all right.
The only reason how I kind of got into the house in the first place was because of Schlock, the improv group. Yes. And I'll never forget. So at the time, even whether I do it or not, it still interests me, no matter what, and I always have love for acting, improv, comedy, the entire field and aspect of life. Seriously, though, because the discount comedy thing, it had me hooked. It had my attention.
Yeah.
And then I meet the guy, and then you're like, dude, we have this improv group, and give me your Insta, we'll set this up.
I knew I had to get you in. I had to link you up. I knew it.
So you hit me up one time and you're like, oh, we have these on these dates, you should come through. And then that's when I told Gavin about it, and so we eventually went to our first one. And I remember I was scared as shit. Even though it wasn't a live performance, it's still me not necessarily being me playing these games and having to step outside.
You're talking about when we at a meeting, right?
Very first time we went, it was one of those. What were the meeting days? The original meeting days, Tuesdays and
Fridays.
Yep,
it was Tuesdays and Fridays.
We went on a Friday.
Yep,
and we go, and I remember I was just watching people step up playing these games. We came a little bit late, I remember, for the very first day, and something started going on, and then all of a sudden, we just sat back and watched, and then you threw me in. And listen to this. My first game that I ever played, can't forget it, was The Bachelorette.
Oh, are you serious?
And I remember, you have the late, and then I'm
to give a quick explanation of the game. Yep. It's a famous game on Whose Line Is It Anyway? And so you have so it's a game with 4 players, and you have your and it's a typical like let's make a date, bachelor. Let's make a date where you have your eligible bachelor, and then you have three contestants. And so the bachelor has to leave the room, and the three contestants, they all have their character quirks that are chosen by the audience or like the members of the group. And so the bachelor comes back in the room and starts asking the contestants questions, and their goal is to find out by the end who they are, like what's their quirk.
Yeah.
And so that was your first game, huh?
And that was my first, and you might remember this part because I was so new, and I was like, holy shit, this is kind of like me performing. I mean, obviously it's not crazy amount of people, but still, like, I have to play this game in front of people. And so I remember I was a turtle, and I remember I was getting like,
wait. What was? Do you remember?
Listen.
Go.
So what happened was, I was giving decent hints. I felt, and they still couldn't guess what I was. Mm-hmm. And you come up to me and say, and you went like try to scare me. And then he's like, and then you're like, doesn't this remind you of something that you should be doing or something like that? And I just didn't even know what to do. I knew what to do, but I was so like, fuck me, like I should have been done this. Mm-hmm. And I just give I don't want to like absolutely rate my mic, but I went, and like I made like a funny ass like classic like what's that scream call from Star Wars?
The Wilhelm scream.
The Wilhelm scream. I kind of gave one of those, and then just completely hit the ground, hit the deck on like all fours, and pretend I had a hunch. I was like I was a turtle.
Yeah.
And then everyone just started laughing their asses off because like of the scream. Like that was the first time where I was like, holy shit, like that was pretty good. And then I was like, okay. And over time I started to notice, okay, these people are just like me. Like, you know what? Everyone in the room, kind of has the same vibe. We got this. And then, yeah.
Because I was, for that game, I would, because I would run a lot of like the meetings, like me or Hunter or anyone else that was on the e-board. And I would try to be the host because, I'm used to that, especially at that point in Schlock where we kind of totally went through, we're totally revived the club. Yeah. So a lot of people are young blood, and a lot of the new members were timid. So I was used to that. There's nothing different about it. So I would be the host of that game, like the game show host. So I would come in sometimes, and if I know that the person is not, if they're not giving hints, I try to like assist them. So that's so funny. I totally remember that.
Yeah.
Now that you said it.
Yeah.
But to the members of the audience, I want to let you know that after the first meeting that Hunter and Gavin went to, Azario, who I mentioned previously, he was a member of the e-board.
Hunter and Gavin or me and Gavin?
What?
Because after the first meeting.
Yeah, that you and Gavin went to.
No, because you're Hunter. That was
yeah, okay.
No,
sorry.
No,
yeah,
good,
so
you're good.
Like the first meeting that, and I don't want to throw out, the first meeting we went to, I was walking to Underground Deli. Praise be, rest in peace, original Underground Deli. And Azario went, Gavin's pretty good, but we need to get Mario on stage. We need to get Mario on stage.
Dude.
And literally, like, this was a meeting that was like, this was like a week or two before our next show.
This already happened, and this is like giving you suspense.
And like, this was literally a week to show day, or 2 weeks. And Azario was literally trying to say, like, we got to throw Mario in now. That's how, like, you made an impression, man. Like, you and Gavin did great too. Both of you did really well.
Yeah.
But like, you guys made your mark. And I was like, we got to give him a little time.
Yeah.
Like, Mario right now is, though he is, because I knew him, like, he can do it, but I don't think he's mentally there yet. I think he's a little too nervous right now. He's a little too timid.
Yeah.
But we gotta get him out of his shell a little bit.
Yeah.
And literally the show after that, I'm like, Mario and Gavin, you guys are in the show, whether you like it or not.
We got a fucking text. And at the same time,
oh my god!
And we told Ricky, and Ricky was laughing his fucking ass off. He was laughing so hard because I think you sent it at the same time.
Yeah,
something happened, but regardless, Gavin gives me a fucking call right as I finish reading it. Right as soon as I read the last sentence, I read I fucking. You gotta call
because we would because the thing is that when we'd pick our shows, because Schlock, brilliant days. So we would have an improv show once a month, and we would, and they would and you would know, like, a lot of the people would know, like, okay, the e-board is gonna meet after the meeting, and we're gonna plan like who's gonna be the cast, because we had like a solid 5, which would be like the e-board, the solid 5 or 6, and then we would like hand pick based off of attendance and performance, like who are the other members that are on stage. And so I remember that night when I sent out those texts.
Yeah.
And you guys were going crazy.
Yeah, so he sent the fucking text, and as soon as I finished reading, I'll never forget that. I literally got a call from Gavin right when I finished reading it, and I answered. I'm like, dude, I think I know what you're calling me. And he was like, dude, did Ricky just ask you to be on stage? I was like, dude, he fucking asked me to be on stage. I was like, what the fuck, dude? And I was like, dude,
I feel like Lauren Michaels right now.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, I was like, dude, how the fuck am I gonna say no to this? I can't do this. I was like, I can't. I was just doing this.
But
for
I knew
fun.
you could.
I knew
you could get a
no,
Mario.
But seriously, I'm not trying to be cocky.
Oh, I know.
Those games, not only are they fun, when I'm having fun, I don't give a fuck if the richest people in the world are in the room. I am gonna be myself. I'm not like when I was doing improv, I was not gonna half-assed or fucking fake, like try and like you know what I mean. Like
I know,
man.
Like,
I was in the zone, and so me and Gavin were really having fun with the games. We were always talking about him. Pretty much after, like as soon as we'd walk out, we would say, "Yeah, I thought I did pretty good on this. I wish I got in on this." Like we would kind of critique each other, like talk, and then we get that fucking text. And I was like, "Dude, I can't fucking do this." Like I just went from I was like, okay, I'm like this, and I was at an even keel pace. Like I'm never gonna perform. Like I'm just doing this for fun. And then you're like, we're gonna have you on, and I was like, what the fuck? So I remember the night before we asked.
Yeah, and this was like in the first month that you and Gavin were going on,
and we asked you if we can train. Like we want to, like we want to know all the games we're doing.
Yeah,
and we want to be able to get them right. And
yeah,
I still remember some of the situations we were in, or some of the things that we had to do. I remember I did some fairly embarrassing things that did make some people laugh.
Or are you talking about now when you came over my place, or are you talking about the show?
No. Embarrassing things for the show, but when I remember we were training at your house, we did Lazy Suit, and you can explain all the games and give the people home, like so we were practicing all the fucking games, and we were doing good, and actually, to be honest, I low-key wish that those games that we did at your house were like those situations we had were the ones like, because it was just magic. The chemistry, obviously me, you.
So yeah, Gavin, Azario. Because they asked you like, we need to train. It's funny how you're saying this as if like you're being trained to like go in an Olympic event,
like
but it was for like the improv, not even the improv Olympics, just for an improv show.
Yeah.
So Mario and Gavin came over, and it was me and Azario. And it was just the four of us. And I remember because me and Azario took it very seriously because we were both big fans of you boys. And we're like, they can do this. We just need to make them comfortable to know that they can do it too.
Yeah.
And that was a really fun night. And it was cool because I don't get to improv with Azario often. A lot of times, like I'm moderating games, we're in different games because we want to spread the wealth, and like that was a great time. It was a really fun time. Do you remember that night though?
Yeah. So I remember some of the things.
Remember the first game that you played on stage?
It was the one where
Half-Life.
Yeah, that was the one where there's a situation, right? And we all have to like do this, and eventually it gets like faster and faster.
Yeah.
So explain that to the people what that is.
It's a classic game that I liked to have new people play, and it became and we tried to make it like the tradition for new performers. It's called Half-Life. So we would give them we'd give them the situation, the character's situation, and for them they were on a heist. They were on a heist to do a bank robbery.
Yeah.
And so the scene they had to do could only be 60 seconds.
Yep.
And then we would ask them to do the exact same scene over again, but in 30 seconds time. And then 15 seconds.
Yep.
And then 7 seconds. And then 3 seconds.
So to begin, remember, improv, yes, you're given a situation, but all of it is up to you. You create
on your feet.
You create the scene. It's all you. So let's say we did something completely like in depth in those 60 seconds. That's kind of fairly difficult. You got to do your best, and obviously, when it comes to 3 seconds, it's gonna be the funniest because you have to go.
Yeah. 3 seconds is always,
kind of gets to that
especially
point.
if you have a good story. Because that like improv, man, is it's very you could come up. It's very vulnerable, man.
Yeah,
like any comedy, like any sort of performing, and especially comedy, when you're given this expectation of being funny, which sort of sets off a lot of people in their journey of being like a good improver.
Yeah.
Is that sort of like preconceived notion or that stakes of being funny. Like it was the four of you and doing this high stakes scene, but you had Sam. It was a great group. It was you, Mario. I mean, it was you, Gavin, Sam, and Josie. Sam and Josie are running the club now.
Yeah,
they knew their thing.
Yep.
They're good. So So y'all had a great 60 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And you had just enough. So that's when the 3 seconds come around and you have all these points to get to.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And I remember, I think we finished the scene where we all got in the car, like lined up as one line. And then, so before you explain the rest of the games, can you say what games we played? Because we played Lazy Susan.
I don't remember.
We played we played that rap game.
Oh, we did. We played Beastie Boys, right?
Yeah, we played that.
Yeah, we threw that out for the first time.
We played the game where everyone's pretty much lined up in the back, and you're given a you pretty much walk up and like
lunch line.
No, not lunch line.
Not lunch line.
We didn't do lunch line. It was that game where you like walk up, and it was it was like evil Disney characters or something.
Oh,
like that.
That's a line game. So
yep.
So it was either something like Scenes from a Hat. We did play Scenes from a Hat. I know that.
Yeah.
I know that because we always had to. That's a standard.
Yeah. But I just remember walking up, and it was like evil or something from like movies or like classics like that you just know. And I remember I literally got on all fours and barked like a rabid dog, like Cujo, and everyone understood it. And one of them I also pretended to be Kermit the Frog, and like if I was Darth Vader, and I was like, I'm gonna choke you out with the Force with Kermit's voice and shit like that. But regardless, like, and some of them, like, we can talk about this soon because you put out on your story how like you felt you finished bad as a comic, like comedian.
Oh, I did my first stand up, and it was bad.
Yeah,
but there's no way around it.
But me and you both know, especially if you're truly like have awareness, you know when you're hit, like you're on fire with something.
Oh, yeah.
Versus when you're not at your best. And I felt I had some points where I was like that. Like when me and Gavin, we did the fucking the action figures.
Yeah, you did.
And me
the
and
action
him,
figures game.
And no matter what with this game, you're supposed to.
And we made sure that you two were in that game.
And pretty much in this game, if I can try and explain it,
yeah.
it's you're in like there's pretty much like two actors and they're acting out a scene, and you have to pretty much the situation is as if like they just can't move anymore. They can only speak. But they can't move, and they have to have like the puppeteers that kind of like do all the movements for them as they're speaking. So me and Gavin were the puppets, and no matter what, every time, whether it was us practicing, even when it was on stage, no matter what, me and him somehow always ended up doing a fight scene.
Oh, always, well, always.
And I personally don't think I've ever seen it where it hasn't gone to a fight scene, especially if I'm in it.
It's so easy for that game to go into a fight. It always happens. It always goes into a fight.
But it's funny.
Oh yeah,
it's funny as shit.
Always
me and Gavin
every time.
Me and Gavin like first start off, we're like someone's grabbing my hand and I'm shaking it like this. Obviously it's not me, someone else's. And I'm like, oh, it is you. And then Gavin's like, I think he might have been the one to initiate the fight, because he was like, I said, oh, it is you. Like, I'm trying to, like, actually try to do it. Yeah. And then he's like, I fucking hate you. It's like, oh, it's going down. And so then we just, like, people are controlling our fists and we're, like, punching each other and shit. It was funny as shit. And I knew that was one of the ones where I was like, okay, like, we're hitting here. And then, please explain the Lazy Susan game to the people, because
Lazy Susan is a tough
It might be the best game of all improv, if you ask me, if it's done right.
Yes. Lazy Susan is a game that I used to hate, and it's because it's one of the hardest games to play, and it's the most long-form-esque game to play. And what I mean by long-form, for anybody who doesn't really know about improv, is that you have two types of improv. You have short, well, in terms of comedy, because there's also dramatic improv, which is like very cool in its own way, but like you have short form and long form comedic improv. And short form improv is where the game is laid out for you.
Yeah.
So it's short form, and the circumstances and the circumstances are laid out for you, and there's a given gimmick to obeyed by. So like for example, 2-line vocabulary. Short form game, fun short form game. I love that game. It's 3 people. You have their straight man who's in the middle, who's basically leading the scene, and then you have 2 guys next to you, or 2 players next to you, and they're only limited to 2 phrases, a question and a statement.
Yep.
And so like that's a perfect short form game where you already know what you're going into, and there's a gimmick that you have to follow. And long form improv is where there are bare minimum rules. All you have is an initiation, which could be on the form of a monologue, a word, a prompt, just a very basic prompt, and then you have to play out scenes from the ground up. Nothing more, nothing less than the information given to you by that slight initiation. So like the best way I can describe it is like short form is a pop song and long form is jazz.
Yeah.
There's a structure. There's obviously a structure to it, but jazz, like it's all on you. And like with a pop song, you have 3 minutes to shoot out a banger.
Yeah.
And so Lazy Susan is much like long form because it's comprised of, you have 4 players that's doing 4 separate scenes only based off of 1 word each. So like you would rotate, and then 1 word could be pineapple, the next one France, the next one LED light, and the next one baseball hat. And then each group has to create a scene based off that 1 word. Yep. And so it's a super hard game.
And you let the fucking audience choose.
Yeah, and you have to rotate like through each of the scenes. So, it's liberating because you really have, the world is at your fingertips in that phase. Like you can, the game or the scene that you're going to play is totally up between you and your partner. But the risk is that the scene is only between you and your partner.
Yep.
You have no other structures. You have no other rules to fall back on. It's just between you and them. And if they don't pick up if they don't give you good offers and they don't pick up on your offers, it's going to crash and burn really quick. I used to be really bad at Lazy Susan. Tough game.
Yeah, it is.
And of course I threw Mario in there for his first time.
First fucking time.
That's complicated.
Yeah, it is. And so listen, I made sure that the night before me and Gavin performed, we did this game, and we got all the pointers we could. And here's the problem, though. I truly felt that the Lazy Susan I did that night,
and
was
it's all
20 times better. That it's all about chemistry,
and it's also like it's also you're vulnerable to the you are only going to be as good also as the word that's chosen for you. Yeah, you could really like the audience could be pretty cruel. I was a host that was pretty up front. Like there's some hosts that's like, I take any suggestion no matter what, but I was a host that's like, no, like I'm not just gonna be victim to the audience desires. If someone says something really stupid, I'm like, that's stupid, we're not gonna take that one.
If you remember,
moving on.
I don't know if you remember I remember the one, and I remember because it was kind of embarrassing for me, and I'm so glad my friends weren't there for it because I was really like,
that's comedy, man.
I truly had to be something I wasn't.
Tell me. I have a question for you.
No, listen. So, shout out to Liam because he was my partner. One of the funniest fucking people. He was fucking tremendous. He was so funny.
Liam is one of the most unique.
Yep.
One of the has the most unique sense of humor.
Yeah.
One of the smartest sense of humors I've ever met in my whole life.
Hilarious.
The guy
incredible. Is one of a kind. Anyways, he is my partner, and listen. So, I'm a rookie I'm standing on this fucking stage in the fucking spotlight, and I am at the crowd's mercy. Like, they get to choose my fate.
That's what I'm trying to say, at the crowd's mercy.
They choose my fate. They choose what the fuck I have to do. And I was kind of pissed. Like, I obviously was like, you know what, I'm doing it. But I was pissed because the scene I got was me and Liam, they said they're toxic, or not toxic, they just said they're exes. They're exes. Like, he was my ex. So, therefore, the way I interpret it is, all right, like, I'm a gay man, and this is my former gay partner. And I'm like, and I'm gonna fucking be the best fucking funniest gay man I can be right here. And so I literally was like, and this is like hilarious because if you were there, you would, and like lots of my friends who know me, if they were there, they probably would have been pissing themselves because like, look at this fucking asshole. And as soon as the game, like we were pretending I think we were at like a Subway or something, and he was looking up at like a pretend menu. Obviously, like in the situation, we're living it, but from the crowd's perspective. So he's looking up at like the menu as to what to get, and like I pretend like I'm entering the Subway. Let's just say Subway. I don't remember necessarily what the was.
Move.
Yeah. So regardless, he's looking up, and I just kind of walk in. I'm like, oh, it's you, like in that kind of voice. And he was like, oh, hey, and then we kind of in front of. Do you remember how many people were there that night? Do you have a head count?
Yeah. That night it was a good night. That was like probably like 40 or so people. I think
40 or so people. Listen, I've played fucking football in front of 2 full packed crowds. Okay, I played in the Thanksgiving Newington versus Wethersfield game, which is fucking packed every year, which is going on right now as we believe, because this is being recorded. It's done. Who won?
Newington won.
Newington won. Hey,
Hey,
shout out to Newington, man. Shout out to
hey.
Newington.
28 to 20. Yeah.
Bringing the trophy back home, right? Or just retaining. I don't fucking remember. Is it retaining? I don't know either. But shout out to Newington. Anyways.
Yeah, shout out to Newington, man.
So that, listen, like I said, I performed or played in a packed crowd. I was more scared doing this improv in front of 40 fucking people. And plus I have a helmet to mask me. And you know what I mean? You're playing with other people. But fucking... like only 4 people on stage, and I'm pretending to be a gay guy. Not that I have nothing but love for any preferences.
But you're not being yourself.
No, but I'm not being myself.
Yeah.
And I'm literally like, oh, you fucking asshole, like fuck you. And I'm doing the voice, and I didn't have to do the voice, but I'm doing it, and so was him. Like we're about to, and people were laughing, and then I forget what the other one was, but regardless, I didn't think I was doing a good job.
Because each player has to do 2 scenes.
Yeah, you have to do 2 scenes.
So, and you have to be on your
and
game.
You were the person that said switch, right?
I bet I was the person. who was
So if I was performing, let's say, if it was hot, Ricky lets it keep going. But as soon as it's cold, or maybe he's like, all right, we got to get another one in. He'll say like right
DJ.
or left.
I'd like to think I'm a good DJ.
Yeah. So he'll like spin it around. So picture a 4 square. You know, you got like your 4 square.
Yep.
And the
perfect example.
Yeah. So the people who are facing the stage are like the bottom 2. So you're facing the stage. You're performing. If he says right, you know, top left goes to top right goes down to bottom right.
Yep.
And etc. And it just keeps rotating, or vice versa.
Yep.
And so we're playing this fucking game, and I'm pretending to be a gay guy in one scene, and then another switch, and I got to be somebody else in a certain other environment, which I don't remember what the other one was.
I don't, man.
But regardless, listen, no matter what it was that I was doing, the only gratifying thing was once I was done, I had people come up to me and they said, "You're the funniest person I've ever seen in my life." And right then and there, I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, man.
I didn't think
believe
I'd be that good. I thank you.
I believe
don't
it.
even remember who said it. But I was like, "Dude, just thank you."
But I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. And you said it. And you said it when you were kind of just riffing, which meant like it was a very authentic thought.
Yep.
Is because you were like, I don't. You were like, when I'm having fun, I don't care. You know, like I don't care who's watching me, and I don't care about trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And that's why from the moment like you started doing it, like you were good. And the reason why is because something that deters people from progress is that when they're in the scene, they're too much in their own head about trying to be funny. Like they're trying to make the joke. Yeah. And there's so many ways. And a lot of times when you kind of do like prematurely, or you're in your own head about it and you're trying to like pre-write a lot of these things, you leave your partner in the dust, and then you kill the scene, and then you don't know where to go from there. So you might have gotten a like if you did like a meta joke, you know, any person who tries to think they're good at improv is that they try to break the scene and they get one laugh, and then it's just like, now you have to live with that choice. Yeah. And now the scene is going to go downhill from there. And because the biggest thing about improv is, you know, especially for good comedic improv, is not to try to be funny. It's being true to the scene, and it's being true to the scene, because like the circumstances that you're probably in that scene is already interesting and is already has humor to it. And if you're playing like very truthfully to that situation, you're already going to be entertaining. And the things that you say are probably like just the way that you, and it's improv, like you don't know what's going to happen, and it's all genuine reactions. So if you're really in it, like it is funny. Like it is naturally going to be more funny when you are truthful to the scene. You know, you're authentic. I think that's just the thing about performance in general. The best performance it bleeds honesty and bleeds authenticity. Yep. And you didn't care about specifically trying to make a joke. Yeah. You played the game. Yep. You played it like in its fullest form, and that's why you were really good at first. You know, you had that understanding, you had that knack, and that's great. And then after that, it's like, okay, now if he learns a little more about like ways to be able to progress the game on his own, you know, he's gonna be really good. Yeah. And that there was a game that I like to play to remind people of that fact called No Comedy. And the point of the game is you have 2 people. It's like a line game. It's a tagging game. Yeah. And it's where you have 2 people and you have a basic prompt. And I'll say like at the circus, and your goal is to not make the audience laugh. And like the goal of the game is that you can't make the audience laugh, and if the audience laugh, you're out, and the new person is in. And you know what it taught people? Dude, life is just funny.
Yeah,
like there's just a lot of humor.
Trying to make
there's a lot of humor
Yep.
in just everyday life and how we act. Like you'd go and just people trying to not be funny
So
just made
easy
it
to
so
lose
much
in that
funnier.
game.
Like I said, like the circus, right?
Yep.
And then like you'll have someone that go up and be like, yo, I saw you got some cotton candy.
It's someone fucking
Like, and
laugh.
it's just, Abel just laughed.
Yeah.
It's like, and Abel just laughed.
No, it's so hard to stay in that game. Literally, you can fucking sit down and say nothing, and someone
and the
if they stare at you
awkwardness,
for
and
long
that
enough-
even the awkwardness of that moment
Yeah.
makes people laugh.
Yeah.
Because it's honest.
Yeah.
You're watching real life when you're like, real life, it can be so ridiculous in a third person.
And it's
And
even
then-
crazier because, once again, just to remind people, this is all in an imaginary circumstances. And if you watch it, and that's why I'm so glad you're here and on to pretty much promote improv.
And you have to come up with that on spot.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the thing. And some
It's
people,
it's so
they make
amazing.
they make like a bad or a weak choice, but like, and then it gets people afraid and they don't know how to live with it.
Yeah.
But, you got to play through it.
I want people, like, you don't even need to be a performer or into theater or anything. I genuinely wish people played these things for fun, just at home with friends. Let's say you're at a party.
I
chilling,
love throwing out those
smoking
games.
with friends.
I love
drinking
throwing out
with
those games
friends,
for non-theater people.
And you want to play some game. Like, there's so, like, if you want to ask me what's the great, like, let's say we had no phones or anything, we're just going to play fucking improv. Just do improv games. It's so funny, and you'd be surprised where one subject, one environment, and one game, where it can take you. It's truly like an adventure. It's so funny, and once you're truly doing the game, you're truly in that element. You're in the game, and nothing's gonna take you out of it until it's over.
A lot of people don't have that same. A lot of people are bounded up with a little bit of boundaries. So like, it's for some people there's some more armor to have to go through than like someone like you, Mario, who's very very open, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love playing like silly improv games with non-theater people. I remember, on a car ride, like on a road trip, I was like just coming up with with improv word games. We were in the car, there's no like acting or anything. It would just be like storytelling games. And we played that for 2 hours. And I still mention that, and they're like, yeah, that was a really fun time. We played improv on the beach drunk that night. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And they're not performers, but they just wanted to do it, and they just had fun doing it.
Yeah.
There's no stakes. They're not trying to impress anybody.
Nope.
They're just trying to
It's
make
just
each other
funny.
laugh.
It's just so
It's
fun.
just fun. Way to pass the
Fun.
time.
And dude, two things. First of all, one game I've never won at, and me and you both know, and you can explain what it is. I've never won at Zip Zap Zop. I've never won.
Yeah.
And I'm possibly going to be a summer camp counselor just for work in the summer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it to the kids. I'm going to try and fucking beat the kids in that game. I don't give a shit. No mercy, because I've never won at it. And you could explain to Abel, you can explain to the listeners.
I think Abel knows.
Yeah, I think I've tried to explain it to him, but you could say what it is.
I tried it and it just
Yeah.
And Zip Zap Zop is just a focus game. It's a game to like just. It's a warm up. It's a warm up game, and it's meant to kind of. It's meant to like. Help people focus, help people like enunciate their words, and just kind of just like rile them up in a way because it's competitive.
It is.
And all it is just you're in a circle, and you have to pass the phrase zip, zap, and zop, and you have to do it in that order. And if you go out of order, you lose. You're out. And then last person stands wins.
And show them the movement for people that are watching what you have to do.
Yeah,
Show-
and
yeah,
then
show
like
them.
there's a way you have to send the message to your partner, right? Because there are people when you would play Zip Zap Zop, they try to get they try to get slick. They give you the snake eyes. So
Yeah.
like let's say Abel's right there and Mario's right here. They would say like zip, when clearly like I was trying to fake you out. I don't play that bullshit, man. I do not play that bullshit at all.
Not in a game like that.
And it's like, and those kind of games, especially for something like improv, they're also meant to remind you and teach you like the only way the game will actually be played is if you follow the rules. And my last thought is just it's important to know who you're off, because improv is a lot about offers. Like you're offering something.
We should still be good on that end. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're offering a gift to your partner. You're offering something to your partner. And if your partner doesn't know that they're being offered, they're not going to take it.
Right.
Or and then the game fails, you lose, and now you suck. Yeah. So like I would say you have to look at your partner. You have to look at the person you're saying it to, and you have to make them know that they're getting the thing. That, and it's just for competitive sake. I would hate to hear the bullshit like, oh, was it me or was it them?
Yeah.
I don't know who said it. That's why blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And if that ever happened, I'm like, okay, then the sender is at fault. And they're out now.
Yep.
I'm not trying to play slick. I'm not playing slick.
That game gets super, and I remember I was
intense.
I was like, because when you're passing and you're doing the movement and saying it, so let's say I zip you,
Try to be physically active with it.
and you have to keep looking back and forth, and it's like a freaking super intense ping pong match, and you're looking back and forth all around for this game. Regardless, I've never won it. Hopefully, I do one day with some people that are younger than me, or just like someone like Abel, or like I know I could beat Abel in it. I know I could.
Oh yeah,
but I know I could beat some of my friends.
Abel's not even trying to front right now.
Yeah, because I know some friends with that. Like I know and I've been like sweating this game, and I know you would smoke me.
I got to hang out with your boys, and then I'll officiate it. I won't play it because I'll school it.
Online. We tried it online.
Yeah, we tried it on a PlayStation party. I mean, just between me and him, so it's not like we had to do the thing.
Oh yeah, so it's between you and him, and it's just who's that guy could be the someone that says zip zap zap zip zap zap.
And then one more thing. Unless wait, so you said you want to do it right now? Is that what you said, or
do you say that?
Do you wanna? Am I gonna 1v1 Ricky Hamilton in a zip zap zop?
It's up to you, man.
We're doing this. We're fucking doing
this. Okay, man.
I'm gonna get smoked. You're about to watch me get absolutely embarrassed on my own channel. And I don't want to rape.
Man, there's a lot at stake for me here. You got nothing to lose, man.
I got everything to lose. You're gonna take over my fucking podcast.
We're bidding the podcast on this one. It's just like zip zap zap. The winner owns the Fudge effect.
Yeah. So if you want to witness just one improv game, just one really fast warm up, or just
cut to the next episode. It's just like, hi, welcome to the Fudge Effect, hosted by your skinny white boy Ricky Hamilton.
And I'm just fucking, I'm like a fucking one of those bear carpet rugs. You just see me flying out, flat out, and my fucking head's like this, and Ricky has the fireplace and a cigar.
Yeah,
and he's just looking.
And my ritual for every guest that comes in is like, you have to stare at my carpet rug for 30 seconds to know who is the host of this show.
Yeah, so we could play this real quick, and then I want to talk about some other improv games, like some of the warm-ups we did and shit like that.
Okay.
It's just so great, like for you watching or listening.
Hey, well, is this interesting content, or you're like
no, like
okay, cool.
No, like you're watching me in the master, like you're watching like I said, the Padawan and the master, and hey, I've been out the game for quite some time, but all right, you want to start?
Do you want to do a quick not even a
we can do a warm up. Just
do we need a warm up?
Little volley.
we don't have to do the clap thing.
No, all right.
Because it's unless Abel would want to get in.
No. Do you want to get in? No.
No, he doesn't.
Okay. So let's just go slow. So you can
we'll warm up. Okay. Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
All right, we'll stop right there.
Okay.
That's the warm up. Zip. Zap, zap, and it just goes back and forth, like I said. And when you get really into it, but now imagine you're in it with 20 people, and you're trying to find.
It's harder. Yeah. The bigger the group, like that's when I'm most nervous.
Yeah, me too.
That's when I'm most nervous because they can come at you from anywhere, and like I try to set up rules so that you wouldn't get like really screwed over. Like you can't pass it to your immediate left and right because peripheral vision can only give you so much.
Right.
That kind of thing. But yeah, when it's a lot of people, like, and. Not only is it that anyone over there could get it and they pass it to you, but you don't specifically know if it's hard for you to know if they're going at you until you have to go into dog brain.
You do.
And just like react when you're given. Because also if you misfire, you're out too.
Yep.
That's another thing. You can't just be misfiring.
And let me tell you something. I've seen him I've seen Ricky make the final four, and I've seen it where he gets that championship round. And he just does not waver. Like, you are not... To me, I don't think I've ever seen you lose in the championship. Maybe I have once, but regardless...
Yeah, I'm definitely not undefeated. But I make it far.
But whenever I see you in that round, I'm like, there's no way this guy's losing. It's
yeah,
like Tom Brady.
I turn
it's
it
like
on.
Tom Brady in a fucking playoff game. You're not going to fucking bet against him.
Dude, it's so fun, so... And what's great is I actually got to talk to one of them recently. So I was... Lucky enough, I was able to take an improv class for Central, and I was a senior, and I was already in it.
Which I plan on taking not this spring semester, the following fall.
Please do.
I gotta
and let them know. Be like, yo, I would love to be able to visit, visit all that. Yeah. But so in my improv class, because a lot of these theater classes they are taken up by like a lot of athletes or a lot of outgoing seniors.
Yep.
And in my class, it was, let's say there was like 16 or 18 people.
Yeah.
It'd be me, a couple theater kids, and the rest football players.
Yep.
Just a whole bunch of football players, and at first they were all like, you know, like kind of like to themselves or whatnot, but they were actually really fun, funny, and you know, like, gonna throw a little shade here, but most of them were better than many of the theater kids that were in that class. I'm not even gonna front with you. The theater kids that we had in our class that were there, some of them were just like, we're just not into it. They're just like, oh yeah, I guess I just don't like improv, or I don't like performing. And I'm like, yeah, but you're an acting major, so like, I don't know what's going with you.
Yeah.
But like but the football players were great. Like they were a great group. They were very, you know, they had a lot of great camaraderie. They were open to playing the games.
You just gotta find the right people.
Yeah, and luckily all of them and because they were all friends, they would get to like they're ragging at each other, but no one was like insecure, like bowed it up, like they weren't like nervous. And they wanted to learn. And like Wesley, who was the professor for that class, did a really great job. He was really great at bringing them out of their shells. But especially for the football players. We played Zip Zap Zop. And I did not go easy on those guys. And I made sure that I whooped every single one of them. And you know, like, these are football players. Like, these guys are D1 athletes. They are competitive as shit. They you know, when they play a game, they are only destined to get better. They're competitive as shit. They want to get better. They want to win. And so like those games would get hot and heavy quickly.
For sure.
Super quick. And I became the class antagonist because I would just school these fools. Like I was the sniper. I was the assassin. And my winning streak, I didn't even have a good win streak because, funny enough, there was one girl in my class who was really, and I'll leave her nameless just for whatever. She was really good at the game, but she had a slight accent because she was Hispanic. So her saps and saups kind of sounded the same. So they'd always get me. But and like you could never hate on it because that's just how she said it. So we actually changed the game. We call it Ding Dong Ditch.
Oh wow! Okay. So it still works.
So like you have a better enunciation.
It still works, yeah.
Oh, it still works, and like it's easier to like pick out like the words. But she was really good, and like she'd always just sometimes like the word would just be a little off, and I'd think like, oh, lost, I'm in. But like I'd mess up, and and everyone was rooting against me. All the football players, they get too salty at me, man. Yeah.
So there's that game.
And they would go, you know, I would you know, those games would get super hot. Are we going to play though?
No, we will. But one more thing. So there was that game, and there was the one where you line up and it's the old Western duel. And line up back to back, and then remember, you were always the one who was conducting the games. You would say
that was for like, Bang Pow. Yeah, that was the end of Bang Pow.
You're gonna name, like you're gonna like
I name a category.
Yep. Yeah, you can explain it.
So so there'd be this also this fun, very competitive warm-up game called Bang Pow, and it's hard to explain like verbally, but it was another one of those elimination games. You have someone in the middle, and by the end of it, we would do it. We would choose the winner by having a like a standoff, and so the two players would go back to back, and you have super intense, and you have your MC, and they would say, and they would ask for a category, and we would say fruits.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, so I'm going to keep naming I'm going to name a fruit. And for every fruit I name, you have to like take a step forward, like at a classic duel. And the moment I name something that's not a fruit, showdown.
Yep.
That's when you have to like whip the gun out. And so like, for example, if I'd say fruit, I'd be like banana, orange,
take a step forward,
clementine, broccoli. You know, and whoever shoots first wins.
You need to be
and you can't misfire.
And you can, and then you lose if that happens. Yep. So like I said, and you treat these games, especially like Zip Zap, like it's life or death. Like imagine if we had to do those games for it feels like Squid Games.
Yeah.
Improv Squid Games. No.
Improv Squid Games.
Let's fucking do it.
That'd be crazy.
Champion. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah, we're writing it. We're in it.
No, seriously. Look, listen, I'm dying in the first round. No, seriously. If it came down to Zip Zap Zop. Dude, I'm sorry. I might just have to give you the fucking gun yourself, and you just take his. I don't even know.
Dirty. I would even with the rules. I'd find a way to play dirty. I have to.
Yeah, I don't even know if I could play through games. I'd be so mortified, dude. I would be so out of it. So there was that, and then so we could talk about some more games after. But let's have a little classic, Ricky versus Mario, Zip Zap Zop.
Do you want to do one game, or do you want to do best out of three? We'll see how long it goes. Maybe.
Best out of 3.
Best out of 3? All right, we'll do best out of 3.
Best out of 3.
Sorry if we're going to be raping your ears for the next few minutes if you're listening, but if you're watching, hopefully this should be interesting for the most part.
I think this will be funny enough.
Yeah.
If someone's still listening, that's like, all right. Because,
I mean,
it's all words.
You can stand and do it, and then for those that are listening, they're like, let me fast forward. I'm going to watch it on YouTube.
I don't know, man. I think when you listen to
you
it, you know who's speaking it.
All right. All right. So,
I'm gonna just roll.
All right, let's do best of 3.
Okay.
All right.
Abel, who's starting?
Yeah, who's starting? You want to flip a coin? Do you want to just choose?
The guest gotta start.
All right, yeah. Yes. All right, you can start.
I respect it.
All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking nervous as shit.
I'm not.
You see this shit? Oh,
That was competitive already.
fuck me, dude. All right. Fuck. You see this guy? Look at me. I have to get fucking warmed up and shit. And this guy isn't even wavering. I'm telling you, it's like going against fucking Tom Brady. And I'm just fucking Andy Dalton. All right, let's go.
Oh, shit.
I gotta make him laugh to
Dude,
fuck him up.
That's that, honestly. Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
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 Zip.
Zap.
Zap.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop. Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop. Fuck yeah! I'll give that one to him.
Okay,
Abel's
Abel's gotta be our ref.
Do you see?
Abel's gotta be our ref.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
moment
so
when you
one-
feel like it's like it's dead weight.
No.
Dead second,
but
you gotta call it.
Do you
I
see,
can't call it.
Do you see how fast he says with a hesitation?
Yeah.
It's as if, like when you're playing tennis and you know he's making you have to. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like it's not like I get any breathing room or a chance to take control.
Yeah.
So, all right, let me get sleep real quick and then we can go back to our fucking conversation. Cause
All right,
fuck this.
now you're up.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zip. Fucking see what I mean? And I thought I was taking charge right there, and this motherfucker flipped it back on me.
No, because I changed up the pacing of the words too.
No, yeah. You see, I'm gonna no. I might never beat him, but I'm gonna fucking win this game.
Want to go double or nothing?
No,
No, not one more.
no. Should I put myself through this torture? I'm sure you do. All right, let me fucking embarrass myself one more time for your pleasure.
You can throw it out again.
Getting warmed up. Maybe there's some nice ASMR for you guys. Warming up my hands. Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zop.
Zip.
Zap.
Zip. Fucking. I'm sorry. I just smacked my. Dude, I can't win this. I can't win this game. I tried to literally change at my own pace. He's giving me the tips. I changed at the pace. I changed at the pace, and this motherfucker's like, all right,
I was
fuck
close
your
though.
pace.
I thought I lost for a moment.
Nah, it's okay. You're
I
meant to
lost
win
for
this
a
game.
moment because
No,
I
I'm
said
not-
one. I was like,
Listen,
shit.
listen. I'm not meant to win this game against Ricky at least, and that's okay. Or maybe against nobody. Maybe this just isn't the game for me. But you know what? I'm gonna fucking beat somebody. I'm gonna beat somebody at this game, and I'm sorry that you just had to see me rage, but that's how it is. That's how it is when you want to win games like that. That aside, I hope you all enjoyed that, by the way. But regardless, some of the warm-up games, like when we first started, I just want to say, we still good on that end? How we doing? All right, so yeah, some of the warm-up games we did, I would love to do this with whether it's with you or and the boys, or you guys can do this at home. If you're truly interested, look up these games. Listen to what Ricky's saying. Look up improv games. You should do them. They're fun. But regardless, the warm-ups. My favorite warm-up, I would say, was when everyone gets in a circle and you make a noise or say a phrase, and eventually once it gets all the way back around, the next person switches it up.
Yeah, that's past the sound.
The sound. So that was funny as shit. And there was that, and then there was the one where you have to make eye contact with someone, and they're in the middle, and they have to do something
That's
funny.
one of my favorite
That one
games.
is hilarious.
Yeah.
So you can explain both of them, but those ones were just hilarious.
Yeah, no, that that game, the second game is is a really great building game. I haven't talked about improv in so long, so it's been really it's really nice to, but I have to dig it up in my brain because I used to teach improv every day, every week. I had to teach it. I have to reteach the games all the time, and I'd have to get the same motivation speeches all the time. So it's really cool. But there's this cool game, this warm up where you have someone in the middle. You have a circle and you have someone in the middle, and they pick someone from the outside, and they choose a certain action. And whoever they look at, the counterpart has to mimic them exactly.
Yep.
It has to mimic them exactly, and they switch positions in the circle. So then they have to go in the middle. And now they're in the middle, they pick someone new, and then they have to do a brand new thing. And that's great because it's like it warms you up and it gets people to like out of their comfort zone in a way.
You get to think, if you're not the first person up, you get to think of what am I going to do. I think it'd be pretty funny too.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you choose to do so, which I always do.
Yeah, people would like to think about, think ahead of what they're doing.
Yep.
And what's good about that game is that in that moment when you have to do what someone else is doing, you get yourself out of your head.
You do.
You stop thinking about yourself, and you stop thinking about how you're going to be great. Now you're just respecting your partner. And then there'll be times where they're not doing the whole thing, and I'm like, you have to do exactly what they did.
Yep. My favorite one.
And there'll be times, and what I'd like to do is that, is if when they would pick me, beforehand, I'm like, I pick out the most timid person in the group, or someone who's like either like who's not like fully committing, or someone who's like a little like nervous, and I do the wildest, craziest shit I can think of
to try and just bring them out of it.
To try to break them out of their shell.
And I didn't even realize that.
So I would, or like if they were quiet and they just like couldn't put themselves over a decibel, I would just like yell back, "Go crazy, go crazy, go crazy!" Like I would at the top of my lungs, and I would go as slow as I needed to,
right?
Because if they weren't doing it, I wouldn't go out towards them. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it until you do it. I'm not gonna go until you do it. And like it would bring people out of their shell. It was a great warm-up.
Ricky would come up with the wildest shit, and it was funny as hell. My favorite one that I always do is, do you remember? Well, for people listening at home, like if we were into SpongeBob, I'm sure you remembered it. But do you remember? In SpongeBob, where SpongeBob is like, all right, I'm out of here.
That was great. That was always funny.
I loved always like.
There was never a shortage of SpongeBob references in those. Yep. There was times where I had to be like, no words, because people would just say TV references all the time.
Yeah, and I remember always just snap my fingers, like, and I always loved doing it with the people I knew, because I knew like I would have the chemistry with that person and just be really funny.
Yeah,
so
that was funny.
I was like lock eyes with somebody I know, I'd be like, hey, all right, and like we're making contact and we're slowly swapping out each other's places. So there was that, and then for Pass the Sound, you could just say the wildest shit or do the wildest shit. Can you recall some of the funniest things you remember from the times you played that in Pass the Sound? Like you can literally just scream at somebody, and then the scream, that same scream, like if you go like, oh, everyone has to go, oh, and it just keeps going, and then you could say, fuck you. And
fuck you, asshole. Fuck you, asshole was the same thing.
We can literally get into that. Mm-hmm. And man, if you could just say, fuck you, and then everyone has to say, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And then as soon as it gets all the way around to the next person, they could go, like, you know what I mean? It could literally be anything. And it was just so funny. But yeah, let's talk about fuck you, asshole.
It's the same premise of the game. Yeah, you either say to the person to your left, fuck you, or they redirect it at you and call you an asshole. So it'd be fuck you, asshole. So I would say to your face, I'd be like, fuck you. And you have to pass it to Mario. Or you could repeat it back to me and say, asshole. Yep. And now I have to, and now.
So he could be like, fuck you, asshole, fuck you, asshole.
Yep.
And then they could stop the little duel and just go, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that game was hilarious. And then some of the people say like, fuck me, and they're like, yeah, fuck you, fuck me, fuck you, asshole.
Oh,
like, right?
Oh, you know what was
like, don't some people like mix it up, or I don't know, maybe
like you wouldn't want to. Oh yeah. No, it was no, there was a game. No, what you're thinking of is Stop Go, You Me.
Yes.
It was Stop Go, where it would be stop, go, and then you would point to someone in the other side of the circle. They go, you.
Yeah. Yes. Me. Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. Dude.
That is the game I love playing.
That's a classic.
Just, and even I was like, you.
Me. Oh my god, dude! No, that shit is hilarious. No, seriously, like, listen, if you go to CCSU, or maybe I somehow am an outlet, and you are like, this guy goes to CCSU, I want to go there. That campus sounds fun. Check out the Schlock Improv Group. Go watch them perform.
I'm proud of them. They're still living, man. They're thriving,
go watch
man.
them perform. Go play in the games, whether you want to perform or not. Seriously, they just. And yeah,
very welcoming group. Yeah. Very welcoming group.
And to be honest, I mean, obviously COVID happened and stuff like that, and obviously I'm doing a podcast, and I'm slowly been doing my own thing. Yeah. But I always have love for improv, whether I get back into it or not. But no matter what, I'm gonna keep the games alive with my friends or just in my memory. And just
Mario,
pass them on. Like, I love them.
Improv's gonna come back. It's gonna come back in my life. I have to. Like, it's something that I'm really itching to do, and I have my friends doing.
What if you somehow I gotta make like comedic routine, or you start your own thing outside?
I'd have to start my own troupe, which is not hard. I just have to like find it. I just have to find a reliable space to like rehearse in, and that's something that's nice with like one of the best things about college, like now because the college is and the education system is so many things for so many ways, but one thing is that it just gives you an environment, and it gives you the resources needed to be able to try out these things.
For sure.
And like now I gotta find out like a rehearsal space if I want to like pick up my improv, pick up an improv group, and I have people like at bat that would be down to do it. I just need to find where. And Mario, all I'm saying, man, is that if you're looking to get back in the game, if I'm trying to, like, I think I would start a troupe. I would want to do it kind of like the same way as Schlock in a way, which was start off club, like as a sort of like a club or as like, a friend group sort of thing. Sure. And then see who's really down to start performing for real.
Let's say you can't find places to perform off the start. Like, you can literally just post them. Like,
I can post them, or we could do them on the fucking street.
Yeah. Like, no, but see, I mean, maybe one day. But regardless,
no, but you can do improv anywhere. Like you can do it in the park.
You can.
There's no.
So great.
It's the minimal amount of production effort is doing it for improv.
Yeah.
But like, man, when I start going back up, I'm gonna hit your line, dude.
Yeah.
And I hope you pick up.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm definitely open to it. But I just started this. We'll see what happens. But regardless, I'll always have love for improv, no matter what.
You know what I need? I need my book back from Gavin. Gavin borrowed my improv.
Hey, Gavin, if you're fucking
book.
Listening, hey, I'll call him right now. I could, but I don't feel like it. Actually, I can't because my phone's right there. Abel could, could, but let's just leave the outside parties out for now. But regardless,
I'll leave Gavin out of my mouth for a little while,
and then break his thumbs later.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, so yeah, I saw that you started doing stand up, and that's awesome. Like, seriously, that is so dope. I like I said, comedians, actors, anything in that realm have nothing but the utmost respect for, and it interests me. So talk to the people about how you decided, I want to do stand-up, I want to try it, I want to take this seriously, and the ins and outs of it, as from what you know so far, and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, so I'm affiliated with a lot of different forms of comedy and just relative performance. That was something that I kind of made an effort to do in college, was to try to experiment with a lot of different forms of comedy, or a lot of different forms of entertainment. I did theater, I did improv comedy. I would MC events. I was a talk show DJ. I fucking modeled for like the fashion shows.
Right.
I was a runway model. And many other things in between. But one thing that I never really got into was stand-up. And stand-up is, so like, relatively recently, it's one of those things that's always been going on in my life, but I knew like, you know what, I'm interested in a lot of different forms of entertainment, but like comedy is the one that just comes naturally to me.
Just call out your name.
Is natural to me, something I'm interested in, something I'm good at, and something I know how to execute.
Right.
So I started to focus on that a lot more post-college. And one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm doing a lot of comedy writing. So I'm writing, The Last Minute is a satirical news podcast. It's called The Last Minute with Dustin Wong. Dustin Wong is a very close, valued friend of mine. And he's the host of the show. We are very similar in just like the way we look at comedy and all that stuff. So, for the last year, that's been my main focus, is writing this show, because it's a podcast, but it's a scripted program. It's a totally scripted program, satirical news podcast. Starts off with a sketch, goes into headline jokes, does a buried lead, which is like a deep dive into a big story of the month. We release it once a month. Fake commercials, fake PSAs, fake interviews, like it's all scripted. And so a lot of my effort's been going into like writing these scripts. And if you want a career, if you want to rep in comedy, you have to do stand up. You have to do stand up, or at least you have to try it or experiment with it. And it's like, it's been something that's been on my mind for a long time, and it's something that I know that I can do, because I'm a pretty like knowledgeable guy. Like I'm well spoken especially when I could prep for it. I'm a good writer and I have good stage presence. I'm very comfortable with that kind of stuff. But I just have to do it, and I never really knew like where to turn until one of my good friends of mine, he's connected to like the CT stand-up game.
Yeah.
And I texted one of his friends over the weekend. I was like, hey man, I'm really interested. Like he knows that like I do comedy, so I was like, I'm really interested in like doing stand-up. Do you think I could like, do you have any recommendations about like places to go? Do you think I could tag along?
Yeah.
And then like on Sunday, he texts me. He goes, hey man, that's fucking awesome. Come with me tomorrow night and perform. And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. Fuck it. Let's do this. Do you think I can just like take a step back and maybe just like take it all in and start learning? He's like, no, dude, fuck that. He goes, he goes, you don't need to overthink it. Just go up there, bomb, feel nothing worse, realize that there's nothing worse in life than bombing and just live with it. Just do it.
So he pretty much said, go fail.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much ground zero, and you can just nothing but up from there.
Yeah. And I was just like,
wow.
You know what? That's all I needed to hear.
I've never heard, like, that's pretty much saying break a leg, except actually break a leg.
Yeah, break your leg, dude. Go up there and break your leg in front of everybody. And
wow.
And so
good
yeah,
friend.
and I was like,
very good friend.
Yeah.
That's a real one right there.
Mm-hmm. And now I really consider him my friend, but he was like a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And so and I went to this joint in Hartford called Jay's Crab Shack, which is the perfect cheesy name of a place to be my first ever stand-up mic night. And I made that part of my bit.
Yeah.
And I went and I knew, I'm like, I don't have anything rehearsed. Like I have some bits written in the past.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything rehearsed. So, it's not going to go well because I'm going to let you know right now, no matter how, when you watch stand-up, no matter how authentic it looks, do not fool yourself. That all of it's written, all of it's rehearsed, all of it is like to a T, like perfectly dissected by the comic to know exactly how they're going to deliver that joke and how they're going to deliver that bit. There's no room for interpretation. Only like either like very specific greats just go up there and totally freeball. It's all it's an art. It's an art form. It's performance. So I knew I was going to go up there and I knew exactly how it was going to go down. And it did. And I went up there and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go, because it's my first time, I'm going to do my bit based off of this one, based off of it being my first ever stand-up mic night.
Right.
And I started like premeditatedly writing in my head, like all these jokes. And I knew exactly what would happen. I'd go up, I start off pretty strong. I go up, I don't know exactly how I'm going to say it. My biggest thing is that I knew what I wanted to say, I just didn't know how to tell it because I didn't have it written. So I went up, had a strong start. I said, please excuse my nerves, but this is my first ever stand-up open mic night. And everyone applauded. They're like, woo! Very supportive group of people, by the way. And I was like, yeah, I know you're applauding, but in the back of your head, you're thinking, holy shit, this guy is going to bomb. And I mentioned that, and I said my joke, and I said a couple jokes, and I got some really solid laughs. And then I didn't know how to...
actually, like, how long have you been writing jokes for?
Writing jokes?
Yeah. Because I'm sure that's what you had to do if you were going to...
Well, like, I've been writing, like, sketches. Stuff. I've been writing sketches since I was in middle school.
Yeah, so did you kind of like freestyle it when you went up there?
I was in the worst type of gray area you can be when it comes to, like, reciting lines, which is you're going off of a script that you haven't rehearsed, which is, like, you wrote, like... I work at a marketing company right now, and you have to work with clients who are doing direct-to-camera work. And the worst thing that they can do is they try to write down a script and that they don't memorize. Because now you're kind of like boxing yourself into this idea of what you want to say, but now you don't really know what you're saying. You don't have any authenticity into it, and you get so like fed up on it.
I look at it.
And you get like so
keep going.
And you get so fed up on what you want to say, but you don't know how to say it. You're in that really bad gray area of knowing exactly what you're going to say, but you don't know how to tell it. And that's what I did. And I went up. I didn't know how to transition to my point.
Yeah.
I bombed. And I just crashed and burned. Like what I wanted to try to say just turned into just nothingness and me just like going on rambling. And the guy gave me like basically like my dinger. I was like, hey, they say I'm almost out of time. I'm gonna just leave because I'm not doing well anyway. Have a good night. And I walk off, and I'm like, damn, I kind of felt embarrassed. You know, like, you obviously feel embarrassed because you're up there and you sucked, and everybody knowed it. But I walked stage, and they were like, that was your first time? I was like, yeah. And they go like, damn, like, you were really good for your first time.
Yeah.
You were really comfortable up there. You have a lot of stage presence up there.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, and it, like, basically, even though I didn't have like a bit planned out, and I've never done stand-up for the first time, I have a lot of experience in other forms of comedy and other forms of presentation. And that really carried me through because my routine was terrible and everyone knew it. But they saw my potential, and then a guy invited me to do another one the next night. I couldn't go to it, but like, even just from that, like, it made enough of an impression. Awesome. But dude, like, let me tell you, when you did like those, like, the performances for, like, you know, for improv, you ever felt like you bombed a joke?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Well, it's weird for improv compared to other things, but the way I felt was not necessarily like nobody wants to see me at the moment, but me not necessarily saying I want to be a perfectionist, but knowing I want to be able to please everyone at all times. I'm kind of that mindset. So when I know I did something when I was on the stage, and I knew if I didn't like it, certainly I don't think anybody else did. I was like, fuck. Like, and like, but you have to put it behind you.
Oh yeah, you have to because you know that, like, because it's like, who cares, you know? And I try to mention this with improv, and you know, because I've bombed some jokes. Like, I especially like on those like tag-in games where I go up and I just say a joke and nobody laughs, and I'm like, I feel like the vermin of the universe because it's just because you're when you're up there doing something like stand up, you're either flying or you're failing. Yeah. And you get hit with, like, especially if you're self-aware, you get hit in the fucking face with a brick when you're going up there and you know that you're terrible.
You can plug this in.
It's the kind of thrill of it. But I'm used to that. I've felt that before. So I knew that when I'd go up, I'm like, when I'm not going to be funny, it's not going to kill me because I know that feeling already. And I'm glad I did it because I went up there, I did a bit that I only was going to use that for that one night. I didn't want to try to do. I didn't try to do another bit that I would like premeditatively plan. Yeah. And like, even from doing that, like, I learned I have to nail transitions. Transitions are super important with stand up because if you don't, you know, you have to go in there you have to go in there with a plan. I already knew that. But like, how important it is to transition from one point to another is so vital because if you mess up your transition, kind of the snowball effect, you go downhill and you don't really know how to recover from it. It's hard to be able to recover. But yeah, man, it's something that's like very new to me in my life, and I can't wait to keep failing. Like, I'm very excited to keep
respect that.
Failing, because I'm going to be good.
That's a great soundbite. Like, that is class right there. Seriously, I'm gonna keep failing. I know I'm gonna, and I'm okay with that because I know in the end I'm gonna be good.
Yo, you got water? Drying up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I got
they
you.
could probably hear it.
No. I can go get you some. Keep them entertained. Do your Ricky thing.
All right.
Let's talk to Abe. Hold on, I'll be right back.
But yeah, man, it was a vibe. And I wasn't prepared. You know, I wasn't prepared for it, and that was like the big thing. So, what was I about to say? Damn, I host these shits. I should not be at a point where I'm at a total standstill. If I was improv right now, I'd be like, hey, give me one word, and then I would just monologue and riff off of that. But I don't think the audience is interested in hearing about absolutely nothing. You know. So why did you want to get involved helping out Mario with his podcast?
I think.
Hey, sit in the chair, dude. Sit in the chair. Come on. Actually, no.
I'm not sitting in the chair. Well, I'm not sitting. I don't need the mic either.
Well, it's pointed at you, so
it's gonna be
spit.
deleted anyway. But I'm just saying, it's just like, you know, just to help out a friend. He was in need of someone to help him out with a guest. So I thought it would be a perfect way for me, as one of his close friends since, like, you know, for a long time. That would be perfect for him or me to like help him out with it. That's about it.
Yeah, we'll
Hell yeah.
We'll possibly get a mic going over there for him.
Nice. I hope so.
Possibly.
And what appeals to me with stand-up is that it's a great way to be able to serve the performance itch, because that's something that I felt like I need to perform. Like I need to go out there and like entertain. Like when I do, it's a very core structure of my being is to perform and to like evoke emotion out of an audience or a person. I think of conversations like this as a performance in a way.
Yeah.
Like I love and breathe for that stuff, but especially after college, especially post-COVID, did not nearly have the environment, the platform, or any like the, sort of connections to be able to do that on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And it's really going to be great about stand-up is that, especially the more open mics I'm aware of that go on, any given night, if I have nothing going on, I could just go out on stage,
right,
and just practice my craft. And it's like I need to find ways to like keep myself exposed. Like I need basic exposure. And as long as this podcast that I'm working on, has little to zero viewership, which I don't mind right now.
Yeah.
I'm calling it, and I think you're in this mode too, and I hope this motivates you. I call it an archive phase, where right now it's not about viewership, it's about building your show.
I completely agree.
And so, and then once you're able to really make that leap to give yourself social presence, you already have a lot in the archive, a lot in the vault to be able to pull from.
Right.
And until then, I need to keep myself active. I need to keep myself, like in some sort of public eye. I need a way to get more people to listen to my material.
And that's why...
why stand-up is going to be a great thing.
That's why you have that. And that's why I'm probably going to be doing like skits and stuff like that. Trying to make
I'm going to be in that...
So.
Yeah, I actually, I directed a sketch last year, and it's probably going to be dropping soon.
Really?
My goal is January 1st of 2022. It's like a well-produced video sketch.
And that's why I'm glad...
You know who wrote it? Liam Foley.
Really?
Yeah.
What a stud. Hey, shout out to you, Liam.
Shout out to Liam every day.
No, but yeah, dude. So that, like, I seriously think that's why not only are you a great friend of mine, it's so refreshing for people to hear, I'm sure, someone that's hungry, that's motivated, that knows I'm gonna fuck up, I'm gonna fail so many times, but I know in the end result will be me succeeding because I've put in so much work, and that's all that matters. And if you truly care about something and you know you're gonna put in the work, usually in the end, the final destination you will reach is that success point, and that's all that matters. And clearly you're motivated. I love doing this, and I completely agree. I appreciate all of you and everyone that's listening, that's watching, that really appreciates what I'm doing, that truly enjoys what I'm doing. But as of right now, I'm just trying to get better with speaking into a mic, having a conversation with somebody while people are watching, while we have to speak into a mic, while I have to watch what I say or conduct myself in a better manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I genuinely think people like me, like you, that I genuinely think are just great, influential people in a way, because we're doing what we love, we're doing what we care for.
I'd like to say so, yeah.
And I genuinely think that in the end, all should work itself out just fine if you truly care for it and want it. And I think many people that are listening or watching, I hope the best for you, and you should do what you love too. This video, this has been an absolute pleasure, and this could only get 5 views, but I know in my heart this is one of the greatest conversations I've ever had. So
you know what? I'm there with you.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
So you know what? Fuck it. I don't care what happens, whether it blows up, whether it's a dud. I know in my heart this matters.
Hey, and if it's a dud, that's just for now.
Yeah, that's just for exactly.
That's just for now.
That's just for now. I don't have 10,000 followers yet. I don't have it now, but yet.
Neither
always
do I,
throw
man.
Yet. Ricky's like, I'm not a great comedian yet, and then I'm gonna be watching Ricky 10 years from now on a Netflix
I'm not a
special.
good stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking comedian. Let's get this straight.
Stand up.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to do that to like you. I'm saying that for me. Like,
I agree.
Like, I'm not a great stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
But damn it, I can write.
Fuck yeah.
I'm a comedian, man. I know.
Yeah.
It. I own that.
I agree. Yeah. No, but seriously, Ricky. So here's what's gonna happen. Ricky, 10 years from now, I'm gonna be watching his Netflix special, saying, "I fucking know this guy. I have his number. Fuck you all. I'm not giving you his number. I know this guy. this dude worked for it. I'm gonna be fucking.
And then 10,000 people are gonna be listening to him saying that on his big podcast.
Yeah. And
that's what's gonna happen,
I'm gonna
man.
be fucking top of the charts, trending all over, fucking billboards. Yeah, no, I'm the next fucking Mario Malave.
That's what I was.
Yeah, let's get that.
Dude, that's it. Touch me on that one.
Nah, seriously, nah, I'm the next me.
Oh, 100%.
I mean that. Nah, I'm not trying to sound cocky. Like, I'm here. And
Mario.
Yeah,
let me say it to you, man. Yeah, you're gonna be the next Mario. You're gonna be the Mario.
Yeah, like seriously, no. I've listened to so many podcasts. I've done enough listening. It's time for me to do a little bit of the talking. It's time for me to do a little bit of the work to where people look at me and they say, "Oh, have you watched Mario's thing? Have you heard this? Have you seen this?" I wanna, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I want it to be good, but I can live with both. You know what I mean? I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready for a dislike on YouTube. Someone go dislike my video, you assholes.
I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll be able to do that.
He's like, I'll tell you right to your face.
10 likes, 1 dislike. I mean, YouTube's getting rid of the dislike button, by the way.
Yeah,
so I honestly think that's good. So let's say you are putting out work. Like, all you can do is hit that button. You know, can only do good for people. At least I think. Maybe
I've looked in. Yeah, I've heard some arguments
maybe
for
the dislike button does need to be there. I don't know.
The dislike button is good just because you can be able to it's I guess it's a way to be able to sort out like, you know, legitimacy in its own way. And YouTube
trolls and assholes just hit dislike just to hit it.
Yeah, but like that only affects like big time channels.
Yeah.
Like YouTube trying to make that argument of I don't think it's a big deal. Some people do, some people don't, but like
right.
YouTube tried to say like, oh, we're actually trying to help YouTubers that don't get dislike bombed. And it's like, yeah, you know who only gets dislike bombed? Places like Sony. You know who doesn't get dislike bombed? Mario Malave. Like, you know.
Malave.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
You know, so like, you know, like small timers, like people don't like, there's no campaigns to like dislike bomb like a small time YouTuber. It's only for like big corporate entities who have a lot to lose from that. And that's why YouTube is listening, because they're not listening for the fans. They're listening, you know, for the money that's coming in.
Yeah.
I bet it's honestly, they're following demands, give or take.
Yeah. No, but we'll see what happens for the both of us in the future.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely want to have you on again.
I definitely want to be on again.
I think we might be running a little over 2 hours now. When you said you didn't think,
oh yeah,
we've been
no,
going
I
for
know
a while,
we're going
and we got plenty left in the tank. But I gotta.
Yeah, we have plenty left in the tank, and for the next one,
yeah,
we have way more to talk. We do. Many more things to talk about.
And this has been an absolute pleasure, from the Padawan to the Master. Seriously, I cannot thank you enough. Make sure you all go check out The Last Minute. Like I said, Ricky is the guy behind the scenes, pretty much producing, editing the whole thing.
Yeah, I am in it as well, like on occasion. Yeah.
Yep. And your friend Dustin Wong.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's the
host.
The host. So make sure you guys go show that support. Do you want to tell the people where they can find you, especially on Instagram? So you know when they hear about Ricky Hamilton, world famous comic, they can give you.
We haven't made an Instagram for the show yet. So the show you could be able to follow directly on just about any platform: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Google, whatever, Google Play or whatever.
Yeah.
It's called Last Minute with Dustin Wong. If you want to keep track with me personally, Wikipedia 12. That's my handle.
I'll make sure Big Red puts that in the in the bio.
But yeah, and then the brand that I'm trying to associate my work with is called 20 Something Studios. So keep that name in your mind.
Yeah. So
and actually, and currently, the biggest thing I'm doing with my time is I work full time for a marketing company. It's called Axum, right. Axum Creative, and I'm starting to produce internal content for them, which is going to include like a fully studio budget podcast that I will be hosting. So soon enough, I will become a paid podcast host.
Wow.
And that's going to be a big step.
You got big things in store for you, man.
So keep those names in mind.
I'm so
and then
happy
Axum Creative, look them up.
Make sure you go check out everything that he just said. I am so happy for you. I really am. You are someone who I feel like deserves to pretty much get what they want, because I believe you do deserve it, because you put in so much work, and I know you truly care about what you do. You're one of the few people I know that truly says, I want this, but I'm going to damn well know I will earn everything that is given to me. So, hey, like I said, it's been an absolute privilege. Can't wait to have you on one day. Got to get you one of these posters signed.
Yes.
And yeah, man, this has been an absolute pleasure. I hope everyone has a great day and a blessed day. I hope no matter what, everyone has positive vibes going around. I hope everyone's doing good. This is the day before Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone's families. I hope everyone's healthy, everyone's doing good. So without further ado, that's going to do it, and everyone take care, all right?
Yeah, peace. Thank you so much. The feeling's mutual, man. The feeling is right back at you.